Malika.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. You're very beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And tell your dad he's got a beautiful family.
Oh, thank you so much.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So first of all, good evening, and thank you for taking time out of your schedule to do this interview with me
Not
because
a
I
problem.
think it means a lot as I am progressing in my campaign. It means
Yeah.
it's a valuable part.
Uh-huh.
And I think having interviews on this, even though we cannot meet because of arrangements or something, is still very valuable because I can then upload it on my website, which will give everyone access to it and not just limit the availability of like insights from great women like you.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't call me great, please. But you know what? This is fine because we're actually living in a digital world.
Mhm.
So I think it's great to be able to have that communication regardless of where we are.
Mhm.
But no, this is all fine.
Mhm. So, like I shared with you, I'm running a campaign to empower, inspire, and encourage girls in science that I call Energize. And it's basically to motivate middle and high school girls to pursue STEM in college, giving them, or university, giving them an idea of the opportunities they have after STEM and the paths that open up for them that wouldn't because if they're unsure of what to choose to study later on, and if they like science, or if they have a passion for it but are unsure of the opportunities and career paths that they can take, I think this would be valuable like advice to them as to what
Sure.
they can take on later on.
Yeah, of
So
course.
like I emailed you before, I would like to ask you some questions that map out your journey of
Sure.
pursuing STEM and where you are today. So,
Mm-hmm.
being in such a position, how could you share your experiences and as a highly successful woman and in your current role and responsibilities?
Right, sure, I can do that. Well, currently, I'm actually running my own company after 24 years in a corporate environment. So
Mhm.
I spent 12 years in the energy sector and then 12 years in the telecom sector. All very technical based, although my degree was, my first degree and my PhD was in chemistry. Um, I got to a stage in my life, I thought, there is more to life than just being in a corporate environment. I wanted to do things that excited me. And the last thing that I did at Vodafone was connect to their 100,000 employees across a one single platform. And that
Mhm.
sparked my interest in terms of, excuse me, helping organization design their digital workplace, because I think that's really important in terms of creating the right environment in a workplace to attract the right talent and then more importantly retain it. Now youngsters, like yourself, the millenniums and the future generation, you're all born with iPods and iPads in your cot. So your way of working, your way of interacting is going to be very different to the likes of myself, who were literally, I remember getting my first mobile phone when I started my job with Transco, and this was in the 90s. And for me,
Mhm.
that was just wow. So technology has really evolved very,
Mhm.
very quickly. So that was the reason that sparked my interest, having done what I did at Vodafone. So I decided to give up a very highly paid job, right, to set up my own company. And I'm thoroughly, thoroughly enjoying it because I'm
Mhm.
getting involved with some really interesting projects. Things like, I'm working with Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital, Birmingham's Children's Hospital, helping them digitize some of their work environment, the way they do things, because their focus should be patient, not entertaining complex IT solutions.
Mhm.
So that's what I do now. Look at applications that will help improve productivity in a work environment. So we're a small boutique company called Kinseed. So kin is, next of kin, relationship,
Mhm.
relationship between people and relationship between data. And seed is how do you seed that relationship and that data to
Mhm.
grow the individual and also the organizations. So that's what Kinseed stands for.
Mhm. So, when you say you studied chemistry, you must have had a passion for science when you were younger as well. So, what did you study in high school and university at that time?
Right. Well, high school is the standard subjects that you have
Mm-hmm.
to do. You do your
Yeah.
sort of your English, maths, and your sciences,
Mm-hmm.
etc. So I actually enjoyed doing practical chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
I remember blowing up something in a lab. Although it was dangerous, I
Mm-hmm.
loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed practical chemistry. I like the concept of looking at something theoretical and then applying that to real life.
Mm-hmm.
That's what sparked my interest in terms of doing chemistry. But the other thing was really, the
Mm-hmm.
secret was, I liked wearing a white coat. Now, I wanted to be a doctor actually, but I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
stand the sight of blood. So the
Mm-hmm.
nearest thing was to actually doing chemistry degree. No, but I thoroughly enjoyed my
Mm-hmm.
chemistry because my lecturer at college and at university, etc. We always got on with them, so they always managed to find me a job in an environment where I could actually do some practical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So after completing my A levels, I went on to work at Beecham's Product, which is part of GSK now.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked there during my summer for about 6 weeks, analyzing shampoos, measuring the alcohol level in perfumes and aftershaves. So things like that, and also measuring the viscosity of shampoos. So
Mm-hmm.
using different apparatus and looking at product that we use in our daily life really excited me. So that's when I decided to go and do a chemistry degree. And then when I was doing my degree, my lecturer there, his wife was working at Elizabeth Arden. So he got me a job during summer at Elizabeth Arden doing quality control. So you can imagine all of these cosmetics. So I was young then, got excited by all those makeup stuff and whatnot. So, but again, it was very much looking at how do we use these products in our daily life and what can you do to sort of impact those products. For me, that was really important. And once I completed my degree, I just thought, you know what, anybody can do a degree. What is the next step? And the next step was a PhD. So I had an opportunity to then do a PhD at Imperial College. And that PhD involves doing gas diffusion through polymer membranes. And whenever I tell people now, and they look at me and they think, but you're in technology and you did gas diffusion. Well, what does that mean? Again, my PhD was sponsored by BP. So BP were using these polymer membranes during an oil extraction process. You have CO2 coming out, you have methane coming out, and you have your heavy hydrocarbons coming. What they do is they wanted to separate the CO2 to push it back into the reservoir to maintain the pressure and use methane as a natural product, and then obviously use the oils, etc. And they were looking at finding different membranes, right? So we were mixing glassy and rubbery polymers and then measuring the permeability rates of CO2 and methane through these membranes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was really interesting because, people take things for granted. So, for example, a bottle of Coke, those plastic bottles of Coke, after a while, it goes flat.
Yeah.
But nobody realizes why it goes flat, even if it's a brand new bottle. That's because the gas is permeating through the bottle very slowly. Now, unless you've done chemistry, you don't necessarily appreciate that, right?
Because the gas escapes and then the CO2 leaves, which is why it becomes flat and not more carbonated.
Exactly. But it's these kind of practical things that you then begin to appreciate. That, yes, so that was the bit that I was really excited by my PhD. I did 6 months at BP in Sunbury, which again was high pressured work. And then once I completed my PhD, I had a job opportunity to work with British Gas. And I joined the British Gas doing reservoir modelling, so predicting the life of gas fields. And I did that for about a year. And then I was due to go on to do my offshore survival course because my job involved going offshore, collecting gas samples and then bringing back to base and modelling the life of reservoirs. And that's the only way how British Gas used to make their investments. So I did analysis in fields in Karachagnak in Russia, in the North Sea, etc. But then I realized at that point, although I was due to go on my offshore survival course, I could not swim, and I thought, God, if I go to to North Sea or to these places where I have to collect gas samples, and then I drown, I'm going to die. Not that it makes any difference, but no. At that point, I got married, and I realized that I wanted a job that had a lot more interaction with people, because I joined British Gas as a graduate, and part of that process was that every 2 years you had to move different roles. So within British Gas, then I moved into business planning, which was great, because then I gained a practical experience. Then it was about planning your budget, looking at the financials and the commercial aspect of the work environment. And then from there, I did various roles at British Gas. So I spent 12 years, and I had about 6-7 different roles, which I thought it was great, because I went and explored the opportunities, and some of those opportunities was really taking me out of my comfort zone. One of the roles that I did was managing gas engineers. And I didn't have any expertise in gas engineers. And in those days, this was in my little one, he was born in 2000, and he was born in 2000. So this was in 1999. At that time, David Varney, who was the chairman of British Gas, he went around the country and he kind of observed the way the environment was set up. And then he got his leadership team together, and he said, you know what? I feel women are much more better at getting productivity gains from employee base than men. And he goes, I want more women in the operational environment. So British Gas at that time took me out of my group role and put me into a regional role. And I was the only woman with 4 other senior executives to manage the southern region of British Gas. And I didn't have any experience of the gas network at that time. But I was doing sort of the health, safety and compliance role, ensuring that we complied with the health and safety regulations. But then through that, I had to manage approximately 300 gas engineers. So it was about how did I engage with them for them to think in terms of how do they become more productive and not necessarily continue to blame the organization for not doing what they believe the organization needed to do for them. So again, that role was just fantastic. But I had a great bunch of colleagues who, they never kind of looked at me as a woman who may not be able to do something, but they were really, really great bunch of guys. So initial 12 years working in a very male-dominated environment, but British Gas had an extremely great culture of actually providing equal opportunity. They were a very, very good organization to work for in that respect. And then I got a call from Vodafone and said that they were at that time rolling out their 3G network. So they said that they wanted somebody who had the program management, the leadership capability to come and help manage the 3G program. So that's when I joined Vodafone. Again, I did not have any understanding of the mobile network. It was about how do you apply your employee engagement and your program management capability to really get the best out of people. Again, very male-dominated environment. Vodafone was a bit of a culture shock, because I had challenges in British Gas, but the challenges in Vodafone were very, very different. So I did the 3G rollout of the 3G network. Working with the engineers were great because I had the foundation from my British Gas days. And then from that, I moved from one role to another. I moved right from rolling out the 3G network, then I moved into marketing, and then I moved into M&A when we acquired the Indian operation. That's when I met your dad, great guy. And then after that, I did set up the Vodafone Shared Service Center in India. That one for me was a great challenge on the basis that, being a woman and being a British woman, when when I landed in India, I remember walking into a meeting in India, and there was a room full of men, right? And I walked in, and they didn't think I spoke Hindi, which I don't actually. I speak very broken Hindi, but they continued to have conversation in Hindi. And one of the guys, a very, very senior guy, turned around and said, "Is she one of us or one of them?" Right?
Wow.
And I looked at him and I said, "There is no them and us. It's Vodafone is one company with local root." And he came with a bit of a shock, really, on the basis that, wow, she understood what I said. I said, look, I'm here from Vodafone Group. I'm here to do what's right for the organization. Yeah, not about them or us. Yeah, I said, just because we come from, Europe, doesn't mean that we don't care for the entity in India. But these are the kind of challenges that I face. And I think the other one was, it was me, although I was Indian, I was considered as an NRI. They often refer to me as, "Here comes the NRI." But things like that didn't bother me because I'm quite strong in my own character. And I think that's really, really important for women to be really strong. Then after I set up Vodafone Shared Service Centre, it was really funny. Even here, the regional CFO of the entity said to me, "You'll never succeed. This is setting up the Shared Service Centre in India." And I made that my personal agenda. So in 9 months, I opened the Vodafone Shared Service Centre in Pune. And the CEO, the global CEO of Vodafone, came to open that in 9 months. So, so then I came, they wanted me to run the Shared Service Centre in India, but for me, my daughter's education was more important. My career, I've enjoyed doing all the roles. So I then said to them, "No, that's fine. I'd rather just come back and do what needed to be done here, because my kids' education is more important than my career." And then I decided to, after that, I did the digital workplace. That sparked my interest. I did a lot of external presentations. And then I set up my own company, and it's been running for 3 years, and I've really enjoyed it. That's my journey.
Yeah, wow. That's a very eventful journey. Different sectors, totally different aim, but it's your science background that enabled you to do everything. And
indeed, you're absolutely right, Malika, because it's the analytical brain, the logical thinking, and you get that from the foundation of being a scientist. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so like you said, you faced different challenges in your journey, whether it was at British Gas or Vodafone or setting up your own company. How did you overcome these challenges? And did you, like you mentioned about your strong character, is it something that you've had in you, or as a woman, how did you overcome these challenges?
That's a really good question. So let me give you a challenge. Number one was, after I left the scientific side and I moved into the business side, I had a manager who thought he was recruiting a quiet Indian girl. But I was quite strong in my outlook. I challenged the thought process, and that's my makeup. But for me, what was really, really important was having the right mentors, right? Same thing with the Vodafone space. It's selecting the right mentors in terms of looking at somebody to say, "You know what, I like the style, I like the way this individual approach problems, I like the way this individual interact with people, and the kind of impact that they create." So I was very fortunate enough, and actually I went out of my way. Whenever I identify an individual I thought would be a role model, I approached them and said, "You know what, I really like your style of doing things, and whether I want to follow that particular career path or not, but would you mind being my mentor?" And they always agreed to becoming my formal or informal mentor. So any kind of challenges that I had, I was able to have the right group of people around me to actually support me. But having that self-belief, if you really truly believe in yourself and you believe you're right, and having that confidence, it's really, really important. Because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will believe in you.
Mm-hmm. That is so true. You need to have faith in what you want to do in order for
Yes.
others to believe in you as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, did you face any trade-offs when you were rising up to your current position? Like, how did you maintain a work-life balance?
Yeah, trade-offs. That's a really great question. When I was at British Gas, I had a good work-life balance, even though the role was challenging. But when I was at Vodafone, my work-life balance wasn't necessarily as effective as I wanted it to be, particularly when I was traveling back and forward, setting up the shared service centre. I had to be given a wake-up call by my 13-year-old. And she actually said to me, "Mummy, what was the point of heaviness when you're spending most of your time on an aeroplane?"
Mm-hmm.
She was so right. Actually, I did put my career possibly or my work, not necessarily my career, my work, because I enjoy doing what I do.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing that's really important for anybody following their career path, is to make sure that they enjoy what they do. I've enjoyed every role in life. So when she said to me, that was a bit of a wake-up call for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I decided to say, yeah, enough is enough. Now I need to be with my children, to be there as a mother, to support them through their challenges that they're facing in life. Not an easy one, actually.
Yeah.
That one is not easy at all. Even today's world, even having set up my own company, in fact, I'm working 24/7 because I'm launching an application for Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital, whereby they'll be able to improve the patient care, saving lives of little babies.
Wow.
And that's the one I've developed. I'll show you.
Wow.
I don't know whether you can see the little monitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we've created an application whereby this particular device, I don't know whether you can see.
Yeah.
So in today's world, when they mobilize a child, they get a call to send an ambulance out. And when the ambulance has connected the child to this monitor, if the ambulance guys need any help, they have to call. But our little application, the application is connected to the monitor as well. Immediately, the consultant can see the data of the vital signs.
Ooh.
So they can start advising them. So we're launching that next week.
Wow, that is so interesting.
Yeah, that is my baby.
Oh.
So I was working with a couple of my coders who are in India.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of doing final touches and testing, etc.
Wow.
So I get the opportunity to do that now.
Wow.
It's giving back to society. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Also, over the span of your career, because you've been in, say, British Gas, Vodafone, and now you have your own company, how would you say the role of women has changed in the workplace? So has it evolved or has it increased? You see more women nowadays, or is it the other way?
Yeah, you do see a lot more women in the work environment nowadays, right? Which is really great, particularly in emerging markets, right? But have things changed over time in the way women are perceived in a work environment? In my opinion, in the 25, 30-year career, I don't think so. You just need to look at the stats, and I'm sure you've done all your research, right? You've only got less than 5% of the women that are at the top level, right? CEO level. At only about 20% of the women that are senior leaders within any organization globally, which I think it's extremely sad state to be in, right? And, there's a lot of debate that goes on about women in leadership and so on and so forth. I switch off. I switch off those debates because this debate has been going on for the past 30-odd years. But has that improved? Not necessarily. It's shifting slowly, but not at the speed that I think they should. And I think maybe your generation, when you come into the work environment, will make a difference. But having said that, I've got a 22-year-old, and I often have conversations with her. And even today, when she comes home, and she'll talk about some of the male dynamics and and some of the challenges and how she perceived how they're treated versus how she's treated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really sad state to be in, because people are subconscious to the behaviors that they display towards people. And I truly believe, we sit here and people tend to have conversations about men discriminating against women. But I think sometimes women are the worst enemies, because in most organizations, the HR ladies,
Mm-hmm.
the HR leadership is predominantly women.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, if they wanted to take positive actions, they control the destiny of supporting women in a leadership and work environment. But I personally, honestly, don't think things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the one thing that has changed is that you do see more women coming into the work environment, not because of this kind of gender diversity kind of debate that goes on. And that's because more women want to go out to work. And also their partners encourage. I think that's more driven from their personal lives as opposed to anything else.
Also, in your entire STEM career, it's something that I wanted to ask you a bit before. What was the most enjoyable part of your path in STEM and doing the sciences? What was the thing that you enjoyed doing over your 25, 30-year-old career?
When I talk to people now, whenever I describe the Great Ormond Street work that we're doing, I always have the biggest smile on my face. But that's truly, honestly, I think I'm just fortunate enough to get this opportunity, because we're bringing a dream of a consultant at Great Ormond Street to life. Yeah, he's a fantastic guy. He spent so many hours looking after little babies. I walked into an ambulance with him. I watched the monitor as they were observing a case of a child who became extremely critical. And to give him the ability to use mobile network to improve patient care, but also his own productivity, because he could be providing advice to these guys in the ambulances from anywhere, because all he needs is iPad.
Yeah.
So it's empowering people to do their job more effectively. It's the bit that really gives me a huge amount of satisfaction.
Wow. It's just something that you think about, but then carrying it out is something so different. And I think
exactly,
the joy must be 10 times the amount.
Oh yeah, I am. I'm just, Malika, I can't express enough how excited I am, because the vision I have in my mind is a village in India. Their healthcare is poor, right? Just imagine having one particular monitor, a mobile phone. They have network, giving them an option to have a clinic, measuring people's vital signs, right? Getting a patient that connected to the monitor for 15 minutes, sharing that data back with experts. Just imagine the amount of analytics and data you can collect about the kind of diseases and symptoms that you can proactively do something about saving these and improving these people's lives. For me, that is just no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, it is something, and I think you must feel really happy thinking about how this is going to.
I'm not sleeping at the moment. I was up at 4 o'clock this morning.
Oh.
I was on the phone with the guys, and then now they've still got work. I've still got them working. We're kind of doing final tests. Yeah.
So, having such a fruitful and successful career in STEM, what advice would you give young schoolgirls?
I would totally encourage them to actually follow a career in STEM. I feel, although my daughters, my older daughter, she did the international in business at Loughborough University, and my younger daughter is doing her same course at Warwick University, but they've gone into the business side of things. I wish one of them had gone into the scientific side of things, because I truly believe that you will have a competitive advantage for following a career in STEM. And the reason being is there's going to be shortage of engineers, shortage of scientists, yes, shortage of technical people, good technical people. Yeah, with that in mind, I would encourage anybody to follow a career in science and technology. You know, I was talking to my boss from Transco yesterday. So his daughter went and did a engineering at Cambridge University, and she hasn't finished yet, but she's got a job offer from Shell.
Wow.
Which I think is fantastic, right? Although they were making people redundant, but they recognized the talent of a young individual who's going to bring new ideas into the work environment. But yeah, no, I would absolutely encourage any young lady to go and follow a career in STEM.
And finally, do you have any advice for me on my Energize campaign as to what I can do to improve it or branch out, or any ideas that you have that I could incorporate?
Yeah, no, I think, you're doing a great job. I salute you.
Thank
I
you.
really honestly salute you. For somebody so young to think of doing such things, to sort of encourage, just make sure that you showcase the impact that you're going to make, right? Because that's really, really important. However you do that, whether, you create a video, interviewing people, whatever, take snippets of that and make sure you showcase, because that's really, you're doing a fantastic job. I don't really need to tell you what you're doing. The fact that we're having this conversation, I wouldn't have been able to do that kind of conversation at your age, honestly.
No, it's just that your insights, as you've been through it, you have had the experience, and you've been through it over a long period of time, and where you are today is because of your understanding or your passion for science that got you where you are, which is what I want to share with the other girls. Yet I don't want it to sound like I'm preaching, which is why I hope that it's me who's giving the interview has an impact, which is why your experiences incorporated in a video or an interview like this will only motivate them to think about the opportunities they haven't, which is what I aim to do later on.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you will succeed in whatever you do. But yeah, no, absolutely. At any point in time, if you want to discuss anything, but yeah, no, you're doing a fantastic job in terms of encouraging. I would certainly, like I said, encourage any young lady to follow a career in the scientific side, because your starting position in any corporate environment would be very high.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking out this time. I hope your project is really successful.
Yeah, it will be. We're launching. We've looked at babies. Yeah, I'm really. It is all the scientific, the technology, and all of that stuff. It's bringing it together to sort of enrich people's lives and make them more productive.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
I hope you have a good day.
And you take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.